We're at the Pacific Ocean on the southern Oregon coast, and we decided to answer some more viewer questions.
As is typical on the Oregon coast, it's pretty windy today, so we have ducked in behind a rock into a little cove, and hopefully this will work better.
Yeah, hope so.
So the first question is, where have you been and why aren't you making more videos?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, and probably a large one is that we are still working. We're not fully retired, so we do have to replenish the stores here and there, and so we're active doing that, and then we have a little time off.
Yeah, we've had some illnesses, and we've had a lot of people visiting us, which is great. Family and friends. The Oregon coast is a great place to visit, so they have been coming to visit, which is wonderful, but it does take time.
Yeah, so our time off is essentially doing those types of things, which is great, and so that's has a lot to do with it. And then there's some practical matters, like maybe there's 35-40 mile an hour winds the day that we were planning on doing a shoot or something like that, so that kind of gets involved there too. But we have so many videos lined up, so many things that we've talked about, outlined or shot B-roll for, or something like that, and there's so many that we're excited to do, and we plan to do them. We certainly haven't given up. We're eager to do them, and we're doing our best to make time to get on with it.
The next question is your rig big enough? And I think this was kind of asked in a rather sarcastic kind of manner, like, you know, in saying it was too big.
Yeah. Nonetheless, we'll take it seriously and answer the question. Normally we're asked, is our rig too big, you know, to get into certain places and everything. We've answered that extensively on other question and answer videos and things like that. We'll put links in the description to other question and answer videos, and you can take a look at that. But is it big enough? Yes. I mean, with the key is that we're not on vacation, and this is not our camper. We don't consider ourselves camping. Others that have rigs our size or bigger do consider themselves camping. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, but it's not our way.
It's our home, and I doubt that most people's houses or apartments are under 400 square feet, which is, you know, about what our RV is. So in that sense, no, it's not too big.
Yeah, our camper is our tent and a little bit of supplies, or our backpack and my backpacking equipment. That's the way that we typically will camp, and we do have some plans for some of those kinds of things in the near future, hopefully, so we'll be sharing those with you. But yeah, it's definitely big enough, and it's small enough.
Yeah.
I guess it's just right for what we want.
For us.
We've often been asked, what are our hobbies? And mine are primarily hiking, backpacking, photography, videography, that kind of stuff, just public speaking, things like that. They're kind of interest and hobbies intertwined.
Yeah, and we don't really have a whole lot of time for our hobbies, but I guess when we do have time, I would say I enjoy reading, and I enjoy anything that has to do with animals and wildlife. Going any place that we can see wildlife or animals, I always really enjoy that kind of thing. And
Susan's very much interested in dogs, and she's always reading about them, studying them, and just any chance she gets to be around them, and so we do a lot of wildlife viewing and a lot of stuff like that. Incidentally, you can check out our wildlife viewing video. I'll put a link in the description to that as well. Yeah. Our next question is a rather practical one, having to do with RV living, and that has to do with water pressure regulators. Primarily, do we use one? To be honest, no. I have used one in previous rigs, and as I understand it, that's kind of an older type thing that is still kind of alive, based on older plumbing in rigs that were not rated to a high enough PSI, and typically I think people are trying to get it down under 60, you know, between 40 and 60 PSI or something of that nature. I have a gauge that I check our water pressure at each location that I go to make sure it's not insanely high. But I've often had it above 60 with no problem whatsoever, and we like that pressure.
Yeah, I like the water pressure. It's good to be able to rinse the shampoo out of your hair, for sure.
Yeah, what I would recommend is that you just check with your manufacturer and find out the specs on the rig and what they say that it'll actually allow. Like a lot of RV parks and campgrounds will recommend that you do use a water pressure regulator because they're trying to keep from any issues and to reduce their water bills. So but we're going to have to leave that up to you to figure out if your rig can handle it, but for ours, haven't had a need for it.
We've been asked quite frequently what our opinion is on the rule that it seems like a lot of RV parks have regarding the age of the rigs. A lot of them say 10 years or newer, or you're not welcome here. Some of them will have 10 years or newer or upon inspection, and this is something that we run into quite a bit.
Yeah, we're always hearing people talk about that, maybe overhearing the conversation go on as people are turned away because their vehicle's 15 years old or something like that. And I think it's a very conditional issue, and that it should be a case-by-case basis based on our thoughts and understanding. But I'm all for a park doing whatever they want and letting the market bear it out. If we don't like it, we don't have to go there. But I have found that some of the owners of parks, RV parks and campgrounds that I've spoke with are basically trying to keep out what they feel is the riffraff, just really old busted up vehicles leaking oil with luggage strapped all around the sides, and maybe a portable meth lab or still in the back or something. So they have to set a guideline out there that kind of keeps them from having to go out and say, okay, you're not, on the spot. So they have this blanket thing that they feel is somehow going to do that. And we all know that there are old vehicles that are vintage, that look beautiful, that have been kept up, and we do know that there could be a $1 million rig and somebody pulls in it and they can be up to no good and wreak havoc in a campground. So you certainly can't judge things based on just that one criteria. So fortunately, we don't have to make that determination. Other people make it, but and we're not quite within that rim. Maybe we'd be a little more worried about it.
Still in the 10 years, so not worried about it yet. But a lot of rigs that are more than 10 years old are in absolutely great shape,
and there's
no problem with them being in the parks at all. Unfortunately, like Bernie said, they just have to have some kind of a cutoff that they can say, this is what we're going to accept and not accept. And if it's over 10 years and it doesn't look great, then they have that rule to fall back on.
Yeah, maybe it's not unlike the no parking signs that you see at some places, and that if you go in and talk to the manager, they'll allow you to overnight park because they just want to keep it on a case-by-case basis and see what they're getting themselves into. But by and large, we think a lot of great people have older rigs, and they're wonderful people, and that fortunately it's not us imposing that rule, and we don't have anything to do with it. So but we haven't encountered it personally, but we know other good people have.
The last question is, what would we be doing if we weren't living full-time in our RV? And I guess we'd still be wanting to travel as much as possible, see things.
Yeah, and I would want to remain as creative as possible. So a lot of the stuff that we talked about in hobbies, we'd probably try to saturate ourselves with that, and maybe work towards getting a piece of land that could put up a building on that I could have hold seminars and workshops and have people come in. That's just a really big dream of mine. I've done an extensive amount of teaching and training people, and through organizations I've put on seminars pretty much most of my life. So it's a big part of what I do, and so we'd probably be doing a lot of that type of thing.
Yeah, and hopefully the land would have a lot of wildlife on it for me to watch.
Yes. Well, that wraps it up for this question and answer session. If you have any questions that you would like us to answer, feel free to put them in the comment section of this video, and we'll do our best to answer them in an upcoming question and answer video in the future.
And don't forget to share, subscribe, and click on the little notification bell.
Thanks for watching. Over the last few years, we've answered many viewer questions, and now we have a request for you. Would you please answer some questions for us? We've put together a very short questionnaire. The link is in the video description. If you could just click on that link and spend just a very little bit of time, I think there's only 8 questions. If you could just answer those for us, we would just deeply appreciate it. It would mean the world to us and let us know how much you appreciate our channel. It would be very helpful. And also, our stickers that we have for sale on our website, we're actually doing a 2-for-1 right now. So these are great stickers. They're waterproof and UV protected, and they're really durable and hold up quite well. Head on over to our website and check it out and see if it's something you're interested in. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching our videos. Susan wanted to go to Muscle Beach, so I brought her.